Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is stage 1 of Dauphiné 2024. Today's race at 172.5 kilometers long, we'll call it 110 miles in length. Only 3 categories climbed, but they come in the first half of the stage, so we won't even see it when the cameras come on proper. Cameras will shine onto the 2 riders up the road with about just under 80 kilometers to go. We'll call it 77. 2 riders up there, Lebert from Arkea Samsic and Donovan from Q36.5. Those 2 riders got about 3-minute, 15-second gap on the Peloton behind, being led by 2 teams there. Lidl-Trek's riding the front. If you watched Beyond the Coverage, I told you Lidl-Trek would ride the front here on this stage 1. They'll probably ride on stage 5 because Mads Pedersen is in the race here. He's one of 2 quality sprinters here at Dauphiné. There's not very many, but the second quality sprinter, Sam Bennett, he's got his team on the front too. So we got 2 teams up there. We got Lidl-Trek on the front, and of course, we got AG2R Decathlon riding the front. Both with top sprinters, that's why they're right. Now, when we start looking at the teams here, and when we look at Lidl-Trek, remember, they got a couple guys here that are going to be trying to go for a little bit more in GC. Cicconi's trying to recover from a saddle sore at the beginning of the season. And now Theo Gegenhardt, this is time to shine because we're getting ready to go into the Tour de France. Theo Gegenhardt had a little bit of a quieter season. He's been solid by all means, but he doesn't have a big result. And this kid has won the Giro d'Italia. So here at Dauphiné, this is an important marker. That means a Lidl-Trek, if you're going to ride one rider up there, Verona, on the front all day, you're going to lose him, and you're not going to have your 2 climbers at the finish. We got 7-man teams here. That means there's 4 guys left, 3 to lead out 1 Mads Pedersen. When we start getting into the interviews, we're going to see Remco Evenepoel. He says exactly like I told you guys yesterday. He's interested in getting to the finish safely. He wants the form to continue the build. He wants to build everything up because he has the Tour de France coming later. We'll see how the Belgium kid rides here at Dauphiné, whether or not if he's willing to ride for GC or not, if he has that form. Now, the next interview is going to be from Primož Roglič, my big-time favorite here at Dauphiné, because Primož Roglič, the Slovenian, is a monster rider and the closest thing to Tadej Pogacar's abilities that I've seen here in the European Peloton. Jonas Vingegaard a little bit on the GC, stage racing, Grand Tour side, but Primož Roglič is a one-day racer. He's a one-week racer, regardless of what Christian Vandervelde tells you here if you're watching it live, where he says he's a one-week racer. He is a one-day rider. That's why he's won Liège, Best on Liège. He's one-week rider. He is certainly a Grand Tour winner because he has won multiple Grand Tours, 3 at the Vuelta, 1 at the Giro, so he's fabulous. Now, when we start looking at those 2 guys' interviews, when we look at Primož Roglič, again, he's saying, okay, the main thing here is I'm out of training. It's nice to be at the races, and it's nice to spend time with my team because Primož Roglič did Paris-Nice, then he went into the Basque Country and crashed on stage 4. So he hasn't had a whole lot of racing with Bora Hansgrohe, his new squad here in 2024. That's why he's talking about gelling with his team some. But gelling with his team and winning Dauphiné has to be up there, but you know Primož Roglič, he always downplays his interviews. Now, once we start getting further into the stage, we'll see the 2 riders up front. They start losing some time once you cross the finish line that they're going to do 2 laps on, so they'll see the finish line 3 times. As the 2 riders up front, Mark Donovan and the Arkea Samsic rider Lebert, once they are coming into the last 1K, before the finish line crosses the first time, you can see it's all downhill coming in the finish. That means it's super fast. Straight roads all the way in the finish. Then you see the 2 breakaway leaders come into the right bend with about 200 meters to go and exit with 150. So you know the Peloton behind is going to want to get this dialed in perfectly so that when they come by 2 times later, they'll have an idea of how the sprint train wants to go when we're talking our Decathlon AG2R and when we're talking Lidl-Trek. As we see the Peloton falling behind, they're at about 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the 2 breakaway riders. Now, like I said, I'm watching Peacock, Christian Vandervelde, Bob Roll, and as we start seeing, once they cross the finish line, as we start seeing some action happening at the front, it's going a little bit curb to curb, but we still see that we got the Lidl-Trek rider on the front. Oh, we know all the GC teams, though, are getting interested because we see Bora Hansgrohe up there with Primož Roglic's team. We see UAE team members. They come stacked here, wanting to win, I'm sure, with Ayuso. And we start seeing the other teams with sprinters mixed in as it's getting a little nervous with about 45 kilometers to go. We'll see Sam Bennett. He'll get a rear wheel change. Then we see Christian Vande Velde and Bob Roll talking about, hey, he looks a little calm here. He looks like he's been winning before here at the Tour de France, so now he looks calm. Guys, there's 2 riders up the road. Of course he's calm. There was 45 kilometers to go. Sam Bennett is calm right now because nothing's happening. Okay, we'll see him get back on. We'll see him catch up to the back there. He's got his teammate. We see Remco Evenepoel back there. Everybody's calm. We come across the finish line again with 30 kilometers to go. The gap's down to about 1 minute, 10 seconds on the 2 leaders. Now things start getting a little bit more interesting, a little more stress in the peloton as the GC guys are starting to battle left and right. We come in and we look at the back of the peloton. That right there is Visma Lisa bike, Steven Kruijswijk at the back of the peloton, and Christian Vande Velde saying, I like this strategy. I like that Visma Lisa bike are willing to let Steven Kruijswijk sit back here. If he's not racing for GC, there's no reason to have him up there at the front. I'm sitting on the Chesterfield like, Christian Vande Velde, you're a knucklehead. What are you thinking? This guy is paid to win races. We are at Dauphiné. This is only 3 weeks away from the Tour de France proper with a couple days here or there to add on to that. We know that right now Steven Kruijswijk should be coming on form. If I backed up the film to years past, Steven Kruijswijk has been on form here at Dauphiné, riding at the back of the peloton with the kind of salary this kid makes when they need some results right now. And remember, Steven Kruijswijk has to be good for the Tour de France because Jonas Vingegaard may not be. And if we look at some of the interviews from the American Jorgensen, the American said, we have Sepp Kuss riding for GC here and we have me riding for GC. And it's kind of a nice chemistry because he can time trial, he can do the less hillier stuff. And in the last 3 days, we know Sepp on the last 3 mountain stage. So they're both GC riders, but they're both a little bit slightly different, which I'd agree with. But I won't agree with Steven Kruijswijk riding at the back of the peloton, along with a lot of times Visma Lisa bike riders are back there. Now, it just takes a few more kilometers to go by, and then there's a crash. Steven Kruijswijk's held up in the back there. That's why I don't like my guys back there. There's no way I'd pay this guy that kind of money to sit at the back of the peloton when you got GC guys that can win here at Dauphiné. Christian Vande Velde, you can pay him the few $1,000,000 that he's been paid at Visma Lisa bike, but there's no way I'm going to do it. Now, we start getting up to the front of the peloton, curb to curb still, full gas, all the GC teams up there, with the exception of Visma Lisa bike. They're always in the little further in the middle or at the back of the peloton. And once we come into 16 kilometers to go, we're going to see the 2 breakaway riders wrapped up. Once they're wrapped up, there's going to be some pictures up on the Peacock screen there of the 4 Americans riding in the race here. We know it's Sepp Kuss, Jorgensen's here, his teammate. We know Sean Quinn, who is the current U.S. Pro Road champion, and then he's doing an interview. In his interview, he said he's been training good. He won the U.S. Pro jersey just before he came over and did Tour of Alps, but then he said his form dropped. He says sometimes you just don't know why it drops, but it can't be gone in a week. Well, Sean Quinn, maybe you should call me because there's always a reason why your form drops. And if it was good over in the U.S. when you won U.S. Pro Championships, if you went over the Tour of the Alps, first off, those 2 races are completely different. So you might have a drop in the form just because one's in the mountains and one's not in the mountains. And one has a higher quality level field and one has a lesser quality field. So it might have dropped for that. But if you did actually feel a drop in your form, it's because something you did wrong from the flight from the U.S., traveling all the way over to Europe, and then getting yourself over here to Dauphiné. But good luck. Hopefully his form will start to return once he gets some steady racing in his legs again. Now, we get back into the action at the front of the peloton. We're coming in to 12 kilometers to go. Once you look at the back of the field there, it's Luca from Albacete de Koenig who has a rear flat. He pulls over the side of the road. Bob Roll from Peacock, he says, I'd be surprised if he could get back onto the peloton now. Bob, what are you talking about? What is all this talk about not being able to get back onto the back of the peloton with 12 kilometers to go? I covered it at the Giro d'Italia when it happened on the last final stage there when Johnny Maline went off the back, and we saw Robbie McEwen and we saw Sean Kelly saying, oh, that's impossible. We'll never get back onto the back of the peloton with 9.3 kilometers to go. I said, then they were wrong, and here with 12 kilometers to go, what is Bob Roll saying that he'd be surprised if Luca can get back to the peloton? When you're talking about a rider getting a flat back there, the only time they don't get back is if the officials pull the car. We saw that at Trino Adriatico with Mark Cavendish when they pulled the car from Mark Cavendish, and then the gap went so big that Mark Cavendish didn't have the power to get back up to the back of the peloton. But as long as they leave the car, as long as it's a wide road, especially like on stage 1, he's going to get back on no problem. He will get back on. He'll finish with the front group when it's all said and done. But while he was back there changing his rear wheel, it was time for an attack. The attack's coming from UAE team member. It's Niels Paulette. As Paulette's throwing in attack, I'm sitting on the couch like, oh man, this is a knucklehead move. What are you doing, Niels Paulette, attacking right now? You got guys that can win the general classification here with Ayuso. Okay, Primož Roglič is the hands down outright favorite. Remco Evenepoel after him, but Ayuso is almost in that ability and could be certainly better than Remco Evenepoel if he really hasn't come in here with good form. Primož Roglič, we saw him at Paris-Nice. He dropped a little bit too. So if these two riders are slightly off, Ayuso's the hot-handed favorite here to win Dauphiné, and we see Niels Paulette going up the road. I'm sitting there like, what are you doing? There's no reason for this. You are not paid to go up the road right now and try to win stage one, because even if you're up there, you're probably not going to win it. And if you look at what's happening in the back, that means Ayuso's going to have less guys around him because they bring more climbers here. Niels Paulette is ideal for this stage to look after the GC guys. Well, of course, he gets wrapped up. 10 kilometers to go. Things are getting interesting. EF Education throwing a half-hearted attack. That gets brought back to, we're coming into 8 kilometers to go. We got 2 teams on the front. Ineos is on the front. If I back the film all the way up to the beginning, Ineos had been sitting first position behind the riders doing the work on the front all day long. Behind them, Bora Hansgrohe, UAE Team Emirates, FDJ, and Pseudo Quickstep's always been at the front, but now it's 8 kilometers to go. Ineos are pulling like a madman at the front. They come out of the right turn. Uno X pulls straight over to the left, and Ineos is on the right, split wide road. Then Uno X decide, well, this is the wrong spot to be on the left. They move all the way over to the right. And then one of the young kids decides he's going to move all the way back over to the left again. So it's a drag race on basically a 4-lane road here, super wide. They're going fast. We're talking 60 to 85 kilometers an hour right now. And we're getting under 7 kilometers to go. Ineos are still at the front, but it's going curb to curb. There's action all over the place. You look from the helicopter angle down, you see all the GC teams up there, and the sprinter teams are starting to get in the picture, because when we look over to the right side, once we're coming about 4 kilometers to go, the right side is Decathlon AG2R with Sam Bennett, the hot-handed favorite here to win, along with Mads Pedersen, my pick, if you watched Beyond the Coverage yesterday. Bob Roll says they're a little bit understaffed there, but 5-6 guys looks pretty professional to me. I don't know what Bob Roll's seeing. Go over to the left side. All of a sudden, we see Lidl Treks coming up the left side. They got 4 riders there. Tom Squinge, Alex Kirsch. Let's back the film up all the way to Doorsdorf-Vlaanderen when Alex Kirsch had crashed hard there the same time when Mads Pedersen had crashed. This is their comeback races. Mads Pedersen, of course, continued the race classics, but since the classics, this is his first race back. And in his interview, if I back the film up a little bit, his interview says, of course, he wants a shot at winning today's stage 1. And he says he hasn't done any altitude training. This is my man right here. I know Victor Campenaerts is my real man, but this interview right here is one of the rarities that you see when a rider says, I've been home the whole time. I haven't been at altitude. We're talking, Mads Pedersen says, I've been spending time with my wife, but I've been training professionally, and I'm ready to go and ready to win stages. So we look back there on the left side. Once we come down under 4 kilometers to go, still 4 guys there. Mads Pedersen is the last guy. First guy in front of him, Ryan Gibbons. Then in front of Ryan Gibbons, that's Alex Kirsch, and then is Tom Squinch. Now, they're coming up the left side, but they're not on the front yet. We're coming into about 2.1 kilometer to go. We'll see AG2R's coming up the right side, and they're getting on the front. Ineos are disappearing from the picture now because they're a GC team, and we're under 3 kilometers to go. Wise riding here from Ineos throughout this whole stage 1. Now AG2R's on the front. But look over there, when we look on the left side, Lidl Treks with Tom Squinch. He's flying up the left side, and he's taking over the front at about 1.4 kilometer to go. AG2R started losing the battle, but Tom Squinch is going to throw his elbow out. So once he throws his elbow out, it's 1.3 kilometer to go, and it's time for Alex Kirsch to do phenomenal work here on stage 1. If he's got the legs, if he's recovered from Doorsdorf-Vlaanderen, and if his training's been perfect. Now we come into 1K to go. We look over to the right side. It's the front rider there for AG2R. He's starting to blow. As we see Dorian Godon start to blow, we know it's Nason Oliveira, that's on the front for Sam Bennett. They're panicking on the right side. They got to move over to the left. Oliveira's doing everything he can with Sam Bennett on his wheel. Alex Kirsch from Lidl Treks front. We see second, that's Ryan Gibbons. On his wheels, Mads Pedersen, as AG2R is starting to slot over, but they're like 5th and 7th row back there. Nelson Oliveira, when we start looking at the helicopter shot. He's starting to move up front, but we go up to the front of the peloton with 700, 600 meters to go. It's time right now for the front rider for Lidl Trek to pull off as Alex Kirsch has used up all his energy, pulling from 1.3 all the way into about 700, 600 meters to go as Alex Kirsch is starting to pull off. Let's back the film up just a hair and let's see what's happening with AG2R Decathlon as Nason Oliveira is coming up the right side. He's got Sam Bennett on his wheel, but then at the same time when Alex Kirsch is starting to pull off, Nason Oliveira, he's pulling off to the inside there to the left. Look how he looks over his shoulder. He sees it's clear. He moves over. That allows Sam Bennett to move up, but Sam Bennett's still sitting about 5th, 6th row back there because he's got 2 Lidl Trek riders in front of him. He's got Fred right up there, and he's got Venturi there from Arkea Samsic. We'll see now as the sprinter, Sam Bennett, AG2R, comes up. He's going to lean hard, give the little bump over there onto Venturi as Fred Wright's giving the bump on the leap-ins there from DSM. Let's look from the front angle as the speed's really getting fast here on stage 1. We go to the front. We look at the foot coming out of the pedal there from the DSM rider, and Sam Bennett's going to come flying around leap-ins. He's going to pull in just behind there when we're talking Fred Wright. Now we're starting to come up to that last Bennett, 200 meters to go, but we're still at 350 because once we look at the front of the peloton, Ryan Gibbons is throwing in his huge acceleration for Mads Pedersen. With that acceleration, he knows he's got to go into 200 meters because that's the last final bend here on stage 1. He's going with everything he's got. Mads Pedersen's locked on his wheel. Now we go to the helicopter angle. And we look right there as we see Sam Bennett. He's going to bump with Fred Wright. He's taking Fred Wright straight off the wheel. Mads Pedersen wins this battle, no problem. Fred Wright knows it, so he's out in the wind as they're starting to bend here with 200 meters to go. 150 meters to go as they exit the bend. Ryan Gibbons, he pulls off hard to the left. It's time for Mads Pedersen to go to work. Did he need some altitude training? We're going to find out here in 150 meters because Mads Pedersen throws everything in the pedals. We look second wheel. That right there, Sam Bennett, he's trying to throw in an acceleration, moves out at about 100 meters to go, but 75 meters to go. Sam Bennett sits down on the saddle. His chance of winning the stage victory here at Dauphiné, stage 1 anyway, is over as Mads Pedersen celebrates as he comes across the line. Second on the stage, Sam Bennett. Third be Hugo Page from Intermarché back there to round out the podium as Fred Wright's form drop being pushed out in the wind there from Sam Bennett. He'll finish 8th on today's stage. Now let's look at the back of the picture as we see that Mads Pedersen's coming across with a victory salute. Look at his teammate back there when we're talking Ryan Gibbons on the left side. He's celebrating the same time. This is a great picture right here. And when we look at the interview afterwards from Mads Pedersen after his big victory salute right here, he talks about in his interview that his team was perfect on today's race. They were perfect. If I was picking it apart a little bit, I'd say Ryan Gibbons was maybe just a hair out to the left, where if we had a better quality field here, maybe another team would have come up the right side there and blocked in Mads Pedersen. But because the field's a little bit less, because AG2R Decathlon, Dorian Godin came up a little bit short, we know that Sam Bennett had to do a little bit too much work and couldn't come around the wheel there of Mads Pedersen in the finish or up the right side of the fencing there when we know Ryan Gibbons left a little bit of the door open there coming into that right turn. Either way, I agree with Mads Pedersen that their team was as close to perfect as you can get. But what I don't agree with is Mads Pedersen says, well, we have the jersey, so we're going to honor the jersey and ride in tomorrow's stage 2. Mads Pedersen, Lidl Trek DS Director Sportif. You guys are knuckleheads if you ride tomorrow to defend the race leader's jersey here for Lidl Trek Mads Pedersen. You are a sprinter. You are not going to have the jersey at the end of tomorrow's race, which you yourself even admitted, his words, not mine, that he's not going to have the jersey. So why would you honor the jersey and ride in tomorrow's stage 2? If you need any proof, go back to stage 2 of the Giro d'Italia where Ineos rode on stage 2 and the Slovenian waxed him and put himself in the pink jersey at the Giro. Right now, tomorrow, we don't know where Primož Roglic's form is, but you do not want to ride for the other Slovenian here, Primož Roglič at Dauphiné on stage 2. Don't ride at all. If anything, better yet, act like you're going to ride, let a huge brake go up the road, back off the gas, force Bora Hansgrohe, UAE Team Emirates, and force Pseudo Quickstep to decide if they're going to ride for the Belgium kid Remco Evenepoel. But do not put your guys on the front because Theo Gegenhardt is going to need all of the help he can get. And tomorrow finish is going up a Category 2 climb, then a Category 3 climb, which means if it's a Category 3 climb and Bora Hansgrohe have no teammates left, which I would be surprised if that was the case, but if they have no teammates left for Primož Roglič, all of a sudden it could turn into a tactical battle on a Category 3 climb, which is absolutely when you want to attack GC favorites, is when it's a Category 3, not when you're on a 20% climb. You don't want to attack then. You want to attack when the climb's a little bit less and when the rider's isolated. So, Mads Pedersen, please do not ride your team on the front tomorrow Liddell Trek just to honor the jersey. That's a knucklehead move, and we already saw it on Stage 2 of the Giro. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys real soon for Stage 2 of Dauphiné.